There we go, that looks a little bit better. Okay, that looks like we're on. Just make sure that that's coming through. Yeah, that looks like it's working. Hello everybody, welcome to my live stream, Development and QA. It's about 5:30 in the morning here in the UK. This is literally the only time that I have to do a Q&A in development at this point. So I'm speaking a little bit quietly. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If you could let me know whether or not the audio is working, that would be extremely helpful, so that I can figure out whether or not you can hear me or not. It should be okay. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that should be all right. So yeah, it appears to be streaming anyway, so I'm going to crack on. If you have any Q&A, this would be a great time to share it, talk about it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I know that yesterday we got in Rock Paper Shotgun, so imagining that people have questions, I'm very happy to answer them if I can. So I'm going to kind of do probably an hour or so of some live development. I need to finish refactoring the radio messages, which I'm going to do now, and then I can do some Q&A after that if there are any burning questions that people have. The most important thing I want to say is that we are on Kickstarter. The Kickstart is that address that's on the screen. So if you would, if you haven't already and you're interested in doing that, please do back that. That would be great. Fantastic. Okay, so let's crack on with the stream. So at the moment, I've got a bunch of stuff checked out. What I've been working on is refactoring the radio messages so that they used to be in a kind of weird vector of pointer structure, and that's just very inefficient. So I'm doing that in order to think about working on, there we go. What I'm trying to do is to get radio messages in a state that I can use them as general chat messages so that the AI can talk to each other. Just close that. Okay, so we've got 3 failing tests at the moment. It's been a little while since I worked on this code. I've been kind of busy screwing around with the Kickstarter for the last couple of days, so it's really nice to get back into some code. Okay. Radio messages, radio message, for each message size life, yeah. So now a radio message doesn't have a timeout anymore. It's completely clear of timeouts. Don't tell me that that stream has just popped offline, that would be very annoying. Let's see. It says it's sending it okay. We just need to make sure that I'm actually streaming. Be a shame if I wasn't. Let's see. Nope, stream configuration quality is excellent apparently, so that's good. Okay, so I guess it's working, that's fine. Yep, it's always difficult to know, especially when you're on a laptop and don't have an extra monitor. It can be quite hard to work out. Right, so what are we doing? Right, so I've changed the radio message structure. I now have a radio messages, which is just a simple class which has a bunch of messages in it. Just at the moment max radio messages, so quite straightforward. So what we're doing now is when we record a radio message, we just say record, we just add the message in, and then we just literally copy it back into the structure. It's quite a simple structure. It's just a pointer to the relevant human that we're sending the message from, and the message itself, which is just I'll show you what those are. That is just an enum. So for example, you should be able to request docking, for example, and then have the docking be granted to you once it's happened. So the difference is that previously messages are removed after a particular timeout. And I'm not sure I still want that. So as it's been a while since I've looked at this code, I'm going to have to carefully go through what's going on here. Okay, so the reason for doing this message refactor is because the radio messages are used in order to request docking. We've changed the way that the particular AI works for docking. What happens now, and what I've done recently, is that particular vacancies, particular job vacancies, are filled on game start. What that means is that oh yeah, hi Alicus L IKLSR, nice to see you again. It is now Friday for me. I guess it's still Thursday for you guys. What we were doing is in the last few weeks, what have I been up to? Well, I've been revamping the AI so that I can finally get AI conversations and missions in the game. I've done most of the groundwork for the game. I've done a lot of the kind of engine, all of the kind of stuff to do with trading and moving around, customizing your ship, and all of that stuff is in. The thing I want to do now is just the AI conversations and missions really get the history generation that I've been working on actually into the game so you can interact with it. So the main thing that I've been doing in order to do that, and I haven't done a huge amount of work since Christmas, to be honest. I took some time off to spend with my family, and then the Kickstarter's taken up all of my time since Christmas. Both putting it together and also actually managing the huge amount of attention it's got. So what I'm trying to do is basically what I've set up is I've moved all of the AI from just milling about on the planet. Now what happens is that the AI are all in cities on the planet, and that's an important distinction because it means that if they're in a city, it's much easier for me to write kind of moving around the city code and sort of interaction code, so that when I put a player on a planet, instead of just being on the planet, they're actually in a spaceport on a city, for example. That paves the way to have the AI actually move between the different areas of the city. So I want the AI to be able to move to the bar in the evenings. Remember that the game clock is maybe once every 20 minutes or so. We go through a game cycle. So we've got two distinct phases. We've got the morning and the evening. And it runs a little bit like Minecraft, 10 minutes for day, 10 minutes for night. And the idea is that you can only do certain things at certain times. So the AI will be busy socializing during the evening in the bars, and the morning, that's the time you can trade and do your ship up and that kind of thing, depending on your depending on who you are. Yeah, I guess it's Friday with you too. If it's 12 a.m., unless you're in the Philippines or something, it'll be Saturday. Like my brother, that's where he lives. But yeah, I guess in the US it's either Friday or Thursday, depending on where in the US you are. That's something that I still can't figure out. Actually multiple time zones in a country is completely alien to me, living in such a small country in the UK. I've never quite come to terms with that, but anyway. So what was I saying? So the AI soon will be able to move around the different parts of a particular city on a particular planet. In order to do that, I needed to move the AI to particular cities, which I've done. So when you're playing, if you had early alpha access before the Kickstarter and you're playing the game, you'll notice there aren't any characters at the moment in the very latest builds. That's because they're in cities and not in the planet, whereas the player moves into the planet, and I haven't updated the code to allow them to launch from cities yet, which is coming very soon. What I'm doing right now is, in order for a player to be able to land at a spaceport on a city, I needed them to ask to request the ability to dock at a city or not. And in order to do that, I needed the AI to respond to that request and say, yes, that's fine. Now, in order to do that, I needed this idea of space traffic controller. Yeah. Oh, you're in Jamaica. Cool. Nice. In order to do that, that means that I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I need a space traffic controller, and in order to do that, I needed the space traffic controller to be there and working on for a particular planet. So what I did was work on this concept of essential vacancies, which we have here, which now allows us to basically shoehorn bits of the AI into certain jobs if they're suitable for it at the game start, even if they haven't chosen to take that job. Basically, I press gang in certain set elements of the AI into those roles so that we've got enough people filling them. So there's only a few essential roles in the game. I'm trying to keep it as fluid as possible, but some things like space traffic controller have to be filled in for each planet. There needs to be one for each city. So yeah. What I've basically worked on since doing that is this concept of request docking and docking granted, which is what I'm working on now. Now I've got space traffic controllers in the game. I just need to write their AI. Their AI is written. I was showing here. It's quite straightforward. So if I just show you that, this is all moddable, by the way. It should be possible to change all of this behavior quite simply. So controlling space traffic is easy enough to do. If you hear a request dock, then you just grant docking. It's a simple job. It's not very difficult. So the thing I need to write is whether or not you've heard a message or not, which is what I'm working on now. So at the moment, what I've found is the radio message code is actually a bit rubbish. So I'm now refactoring it. So I've instead of having the idea in an actor, so an actor is just an AI character. I've stopped putting them in a memory because the problem is that I couldn't store just the last radio message anymore. And anyway, that was a pretty inefficient way of doing it. I was storing it in a boost variant, and I now know that that's a terrible idea. So what I'm doing now is setting it up so that I can store a set of recent radio messages. This is really helpful explaining what I'm doing because I'm actually remembering it as I go, which is a good thing. So then what I'm doing with that is, removed all of that. I've now got a loaded radio message size, and then we'll just go through and record the radio messages. Yeah, that's fine. Not sure what that code is. Oh, that's in the game loader. That's just the loading and saving code. And then now all we do is simply record it. Now that doesn't quite look right. Yeah, let's have a look at the recording code. So what I do is, oh yes, no, that does work. I set the message, so I record whatever message we have, and then I just very simply add 5 seconds to the life. Now, some radio messages structures will care about what the life is. Yeah, and in this case, I'm not necessarily setting that. And some won't. So probably the first thing to do is to fix the tests. Now the tests that I had, the problems that I had with the tests were, create with a timeout of 5 seconds, so line 24. Right. So this is because the radio message is not being set correctly, which is no good. And that's simply because when I set the radio message, I can't just not set a life. Probably what I need to do is actually set the life myself here. That would be more appropriate, wouldn't it? So I need to actually say life plus 5,000. Yeah, that would do it. Now the other thing I need to do is what is max radio messages here? 10. Oh, crikey. So in this case, this is only going to work for 10. That's no good. So what I need to do here is just mod that. It's easy enough to do. Make sure it loops correctly. I'll probably just leave that explicit. Cool. Good. That should now do the trick. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, let's just compile that. So just finishing off the code that I had before. Is any part of the game built as a shared library? Unfortunately not at the moment. That's not something that I have managed to figure out yet. I've been watching Handmade Hero over Christmas, which is just a really good setup. It's something that I really wanted to emulate. He's basically got live code editing working the game as a DLL. I would definitely like to do that. It's not something I've managed yet. Right, actor spec. So what's going on here? Saves last message received. Okay, so let's have a look at the code. This just sets up the actor. Right. Okay, so this is just all completely wrong. So what we do is we set up our radio message. And that's memory. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's just not going to work. So basically what this is saying is if I am not the sender, I should see the message. Whereas so when we send a location event, which is a radio message, I should be if I'm sending it, I shouldn't hear it. But if I didn't send it, then I should hear it, which is what this is saying. But this code here is out of date because it's still looking in the memory for the last message, and we've now got a recent radio messages structure here, which is radio messages. Brilliant. And we should be able to just check the size of that if I've got that correct. Int size, return size. There we go. That'll do it. So this actually becomes much easier. So listening actor, radio messages, size. This should be check equal 1. And then sending actor, that should be 0. This is just the test that I've got here for this kind of location event code. while it's compiling. I would love to answer questions. It's a great time to answer questions. So if you have any questions, do let me know. I'm keeping an eye on the stream, doing my best to answer the questions as they come up. It's probably worth me also putting the Kickstart URL in, if I can manage that. It's worth me putting that in the chat, isn't it? That's the Kickstart URL if you haven't already seen it. Do back it if you feel like you want to. Okay, right, so cannot create a timer in 5 seconds. Right, so this is because, again, we create our message, should be fine. We record it, and all the record does is it says, oh, I've seen the live, I've seen that particular live. So if messages life is less than life, that's the wrong way around. So life is going to be 0 at this point, whereas messages life is going to be 5,000. So actually we want if life is less than messages life. That should do it. That's why you have tests. Okay, passed all tests. Fantastic. Okay, and now we've got undefined method for nil in the Ruby code. So this Ruby code here has caused an error. This is the code that actually compiles the trader actions, which means that I've got some sort of error in my trader code. This is probably just something like, yeah, here. That's just a tabbing issue. That's normally what it is. I probably need to write a stretch goal for modding for the game. Who's doing art? My friend Amar, who used to be in AAA like me, and then started his own mobile gaming company, and I think is now working as a freelance artist. I don't know. I should probably see if he's got a website somewhere and link to it. No, he's none of those people. Nope, it's not him anyway. Nope, that's not him. Yeah. That is probably him. Yep, that's him. Yep, that's definitely him. Yep, then there's my recommendation. Yeah, he's a good guy. And I'm really pleased with the artwork that he's done. Right, what is the issue? Did that work? No. Okay, let's have a look at the code then. Line 28, what is the issue? Oh, there's no name for the behavior. What have I done? Undefined method for nil. Yeah, there shouldn't really need to be a name. So it's because we're not getting the data. It could be this. It is probably an indentation thing. It normally is. No. Let's just print out the YAML at that point and see what's going on. So I'm just fiddling with the Ruby tools to get the AI text representation compiling down into binary, which is what I actually load by the game. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the issue is throttle is nil. Why is throttle nil? Oh, it doesn't seem to be nested underneath. Let's see. How do I do this? What have I done wrong? I think probably something like that. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't really like this YAML representation of the AI, but it's the best I've got at the moment. It works. Right, compiling. Oh, it's still not working. Right, just double check all of these. Ah, that one. Double check the stream is still working. It's always worth doing that. Hopefully I'll be able to get to the point where I can demo the game pretty soon. Yeah, that looked like that worked. Brilliant. Okay, building the game. Right. So let's just start the game again. Choose these guys. Just create a simple character and choose some random choices. Calvin Griven. Like it. I am definitely going to be doing like a full... this is what I was working on. Right, so what's going on here? Creating the space location game state is crashing. That's something to do with the radio messages. Yeah. Location game state. So we've got a crash on start here. Yeah, let me just try running that through the debugger and see what's going on. Don't know why it would crash in the constructor of the game state. There wasn't anything to do with radio messages there. It could be. Right. That's fine. What have I changed here? Is there anything I've changed particularly in the game state itself that could have caused that? Let's see. Yes, I have modified space location game state. So this is new. I've taken out radio messages is new radio messages and delete because now that's the reason I've taken that out is now that is a it's just a constructed thing that it's directly inside the game state. That shouldn't be a problem. Anyway, let's just try loading an existing game. Let's try loading this one. Right. So, oh no, I can't do that because I've screwed around with the AI, so there's no way that's going to work. Let's try again. Okay, let's just create a very simple character. See if I can get to where I need to be. Right. This is failing because of location. Ah, interesting. So we've got a pointer to a null reference now. Where did that come from? Right. Don't know why that would have changed. So game state 62 to 35. And then that's the main menu game state line 134. Okay, so 65 is here. Right, so the problem looks like the ship is null. That's really weird. I haven't changed any of that code. Just double check that I haven't screwed up anything there. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a full recompile. It's a while since I've done that, and sometimes that can cause problems. What I've done is screwed around with these radiant messages. There's no reason the game state shouldn't have a ship. That should just work. Oh yeah, and that P YAML needs to come out, but I can do that. This one here, that's fine. Right, so while this is building, again, it's a great time for me to answer questions. What's that mail icon on your status line? Oh, this thing here. Well, this is just shows me how much mail I've got. So I use Tmux, and I've just got a little script that says that I've got 18 messages in all of my inboxes to process. I'm at inbox 18 right now, and the :4 just means 4 messages that are lists or notifications or GitHub postings and things like that. I've been through those quite recently, but I'm getting a ton of email at the moment. I just haven't got time to go through it all. The rest of it is, this is just my load, so it's quite high because I'm running this on a little laptop. And this is my battery life. So it's just a helpful little indicator of what's going on. It's also running hugely high because I'm just running the compilation with 8 things at a time. For a Unity build. There's so many things I would do differently. No, that's not Vim in the status line. The bottom status line is Tmux. So this status line down here is Tmux. And then this status line here is Vim. Am I using a build system? No, I'm using my own set of scripts. I wrote it turned out to be quite popular, an article about this. I think is still the top article on my blog. Yeah, which talks about my build system and how awful it is. Where are we? This one here. Use a simple build system. So yeah, I'll pop that link in the chat. There you go. Yeah, it's a bit crap, to be honest, unfortunately. It's basically, I'll show you. Can I show it? No, I can't show it live on stream because it's got a ton of passwords in it. What can I say? It's not perfect. Will there be any environmental things, disasters, out of the player's control in the game, even though it is in space? I'm not really planning disasters. However, because the AI is actually fiendishly complicated, or is it complicated? It's not complicated. It's reasonably simple. You know, players go around. Basically, different AI characters go around their lives. You know, trading and pirating and that kind of thing. Disasters might hit you. I'm not planning on kind of like environmental disasters, like supernovas and things like that, because the game is only set in the solar system. However, you might end up jumping out into a system and hitting a massive fight, in which case you're kind of screwed. You have to get out of there as quickly as possible. So things like that will happen. Also, there's nothing to stop asteroids sort of floating in front of jump gates and things like that, which could be problematic. I might have to kind of have some sort of repelling thing in there to stop it completely blocking up a jump gate and destroying all ships that come through. Stuff like that may well happen. But I'm not planning on hard coding environmental disasters now. Oh, it always takes a little while to build. But I think we're almost there. Yeah, it's just finishing off building the tests. I think if I was to build this again, I'd probably have less unit tests than I have now. I think the unit tests have been useful, but I think in some ways they're a little bit onerous. Would I have less unit tests? Is that true? I've actually probably got too many integration tests, and maybe not enough unit tests. Right, here we go. So let's just actually run this through the debugger, make sure it's not completely broken. Oh, we've got another, here we go. Another test failure. So that we didn't get before, so that shows me that we definitely haven't quite got this right yet. So rake test. Let's just make sure we haven't got craziness going on. So that's repeatable. Yeah, it's definitely repeatable. So what is that error? Right, check component, ship, choose components damage. Ship customization point. Blueprint point for position. Interesting. I've just updated the ship factory stuff. So that might be create ship. Is it because of the size issue? So I'm building a Lynx 1. There should be a hole. Choose component to damage. It should find a particular point on the ship. That should be fine. Again, I haven't really changed this code, so I'm a little bit surprised at this failing. Right, so this is all about ship customization point. Now if I'm constructing the ship correctly in the ship factory, it should just work. Ship.h constructor. Right, so we've got the blueprint, we create the body. Yeah, that's all fine. Yeah, we go through the customization points there. So ship component, we're just looking at the blueprint actually. And that's loaded from ship YAML. ships demo, which is that one. Okay. Size. Okay, so this is weird. That's the customization point, and it's going 00 to 45, 45. So there's no reason when we find a customization point, point 4 position. This is the code. Right, so we go through the customization point and check to see whether or not it contains it. So it would go through all of these. Do we have a cannot find a component under point anywhere? Okay, so this is really odd. Really, really odd. Because we're not getting the error. Oh, well, yeah. So it's not that it's not finding a customization point because it would have exited, so it's not that. Yeah, thanks. It was it's got quite popular, that article actually. It hit Reddit and various other places, so that was good. So I think it did quite well. Okay, so it has found it, but it has not necessarily found anything in it. In the sense that it's found the hole slot that you can put a hole in the ship, but there's no hole itself attached, which is a problem with the way that it's been constructed. It's there. There's the hole. Oh, so it's either that it's been destroyed or that it is not working well. It's easy enough to debug. Let's just go through the debugger on the test. So it's ship spec line 143. Right, so if we just break ship spec line 142. Okay. Right. Okay, so now we've got ship use component to damage, so let's have a good look in there. Okay, so next. Right, so we've got a point. Yes, that's valid. And the question is, right, we're returning null because it's not finding that particular point. So let's have a look at that point, shall we? Right, so it is a weapon mount. So it happens to be finding a right weapon. Okay, so the reason that this is starting to fail is because the randomized, this is just this method, point for position, is always choosing a random between 0 and 1, which is basically the square of the ship. And it's the randomization has hit right weapon. Now, because the test is deterministic, the randomization will hit right weapon every single time now. Because we've changed other tests, which potentially are not calling the same random values in the same order, it needs right weapon to be filled in. I'm not sure that right weapon is actually filled in the ship factory. No, that's exactly the problem. So we just need, for this particular test, we just need to make sure there's a right weapon. Now if I fill it in for all of them, add a uranium bolter, which fires depleted uranium shells. If I just run that, then that should, in theory, fix it. Will take a little bit of recompiling, unfortunately, to make that work. Because lots of things use ship factory. So yeah, that does make sense. It's kind of a weird failure, but it only happens because the randomness changes. Now, ideally, you want to make that test isolated and deterministic, so I could potentially set the randomness myself in the test. But to be honest, that having that ship factory creating an incomplete ship is going to potentially cause problems later on anyway. So I prefer to fix it this way. While we're compiling, this is a great time to have questions. I can see a few people watching the stream now. So if you have any questions, be very happy to answer them. Please do ask away. As you can see, there's I'm running a Kickstarter at the moment. Lots of questions are answered there. I've got a lot of press attention in the last day or so, so you know, I'm very happy to kind of answer questions to do with that. Let's just get that running so I can pop that in there. Yeah, do check that out and back it if you feel like you'd like to. Cool. So yeah, rebuilding the ship factory is taking a while. Almost done. Okay, so now I'm adding the weapon in and I'm getting a whole bunch of errors elsewhere. Right, so probably what I want to do is just not fit that weapon and fix the randomness. It's using random doubles, so that's not. What I could do is fit my own. Hang on, just in this test. And then I need the component library. Yeah, that's a little bit of a sticky plaster, but it'll work fine. Okay, just close a bunch of these windows. Sure, string quality seems okay. Just refresh the page. Don't really need the video preview. Just keep making sure the string quality is good. I have had problems from this Mac doing various streams, so I just want to make sure that that's still working. Okay, how are we doing? Oh goodness, that really did rebuild everything. I probably should have just done a full rebuild like I did last time. Try and flush out that weird error. My build does take too long. I mean, when I do a full build, well, it takes about 10 minutes, which is, it's no good. It should really be 5 seconds. Yeah, maybe if I get funding and I get more time to spend during the day doing this, I want to get this build stuff sorted out because it is a complete nightmare. Here we go. Yay, test passed. Right, so was this problem that I had? Actually, that's too many. Let's just do two, choose. Right, very 2-year-old boy? No, it's a problem. So is it failing in the same place? No, it's not. So okay, so there was a problem with the build, but okay. So here we've got solar system 91. It's failing on, and then location H154. So this is in the update. Right, so it's updating a location 154 if entity location. Okay, so we have an entity. I'm guessing that doesn't exist properly, or something like that. Oops. Just get rid of that problem reporter. Let's just run it through the debugger. See what's going on. I have rejigged the way that these things work. Ah, okay. Was that the problem before? No. So the issue here is that now we cannot find behavior heard message. Okay, let's just make sure that that's the same error that I get both times. That's good, that's the error I'm expecting, because I haven't written the AI for space traffic controllers actually listening to messages, which is kind of where I want to get to. Okay. No, we have definitely got issues. Unfortunately, the change that I was making is a reasonably old one. Oops, I can't do that at the moment. I was kind of in the process of doing it just before Christmas and should have finished it really. I may just have to go through the diff and try and figure out what's going on offline. Okay, so this time it cannot find behavior message, but I do have a random crash, which I do not like the look of. Okay, so probably what I just need to do is go through the diff. Let's just try it again. So on start, yeah, this is the crash. Okay, that's on construction again. Yeah, there's definitely a memory overwrite going on here somewhere. This is the null ship thing again. Okay, so what am I doing wrong here? What have I changed that's causing this? Because this is definitely not a problem in the previous build. Just going to go through this diff line by line. So removed this code, which wasn't very good anyway, so that's fine. Changed the way memory values work. We've added an act, we've added a struct, which is recent radio messages. So each actor, which we can then return. We've removed this concept of loading the messages. And instead we now load them like this, so let's make sure. I'm not even touching that code at the moment. Hang on, this is interesting. Yeah, there's a bug here because when I actually set the radio message life to something, Yes, I am going to need to be able to set that. I'll look at that in a minute. Okay. Then we've got this radio message saver, which should work. This is fine. This is not fine. This is not going to work. That's fine. Fix that in a minute. Yeah, this is just my old STL way of doing things, which I've removed. Gone for a round robin buffer instead. That looks okay. Okay, see, there's a few problems here because this is not a round robin. No, I need to update that. But I can't see any reason that that would actually crash. It's wrong. The code is wrong. I mean, I wrote this just before Christmas. I'm tempted to back out of this change completely. But that would be a shame. It's not that bad. Yeah, and then all of this stuff does need redoing. Yeah, so the radio messages used to have a list. And now... Excuse me. Oh, it just has a round robin buffer. With a size. Yeah, so that's all okay. Again, that's fine. Yeah, and then this, we're in the proto stuff here. So I don't really want to look at that. That's just the protocol buffer layer that I've done. Yeah, that's correct. That's fine. That we don't need to do anymore, and that's just a small fix. Okay, so I think, I'm not sure why I'm getting those random crashes, but I think the first thing to do would be to debug this, the way that this works. Space location game state has got radio messages, hasn't it? Yeah, this is just broken basically. So we get, let's have a look, we've got a pointer to the human, the radio message itself, which is just an enum, and the life, which is just an int. So when we have a new radio message, I think probably what we need to do is, instead of making that a struct, we need to actually define this, because there's a couple of cases. So a radio message has got a human const sender. There are two cases in which I want to construct one of these things. There's one where we have a long life, which is which basically defaults to 0. If it's 0, then it just figures out what the life is based on the radio messages itself. So it will just enter it in. When it records it, it'll set its life up. It's almost, that doesn't really belong in the radio message itself, it belongs in the record. But well, we store it with it anyway, so that's not that bad. So let's see. Right. If I was to do that, basically I'm then going to say sender, message, that bit's easy, life, and then we say if life is 0, then, well, we just do that actually. And then when we record it, so if we're reconstituting this from scratch, when we load and save, we basically want it to be the life of the message. By which I mean we want it to be exactly what it was before. Whereas if it isn't, we want to do that. Whoops. That's fine. Instead of this shouldn't be anything to do with Mac, this should just be Max radio messages. And then this there we go. So what that should do, oh, is that not going to work? Expected expression. Can I do that? No. That's annoying. Let's see if I can do this. Don't think I can do this, can I? No. I'm going to have a default constructor for this thing. That's fine, I can handle that. Just zeros out. What's the problem now? Sender does not have a non-static base class. Did you mean sender? Oh yes, I did. And I decided this is still needs to be a struct. Don't need that. What's wrong here? Oh, that's not shouldn't be null. Radio message, proto. What could this be? Reset it to 0. Well, let's just make this clear. So that's not actually a message. Yes, there is. I need to compile that though. So, watch how we recompile the protocol buffers. The whole thing recompiles. It's going to take a little while to do that. So we've got about 20 minutes left of the stream time. If you do have questions, sorry I haven't got very far, but I'm just kind of getting used to the code again after having a little bit of a break from a couple of weeks break. Right, not aggregate type. Right, so this is more like it. So now we got to the point where we can't actually do this, which is kind of what I wanted to get to. I want to be able to do that. Okay, so that's working. Hopefully the initialization now will be better. Right, I've got the same problem here. Radio message, can that be? Yeah, so that's fine. Human, radio, message, radio, life. Go with that one. Just going to run that whole thing. I'm going to rerun the whole build. While I'm compiling, this is a great time to ask me questions and things. Have I dabbled in Swift? To be honest, no, I haven't. The reason is it's because it's OS X only, and because I'm working on games, I kind of want to make sure that it's portable. So I'm sticking to C for the moment, if I'm honest, because I know that it's portable. Because I can, even if I want to go on Android, or if I want to put this game on iOS at some point maybe, then I know that I can port it. So yeah, I try and stick to generic, quite basic C++. I'm trying not to use any weird things. I'm trying not to use too many new features of C++, just in case it causes portability issues. I'm just sticking to the main and plain at the moment. I mean, it sounds like a cool language, and people say good things about it. And I definitely probably will go there at some point. You know, maybe when the adoption path is clearer. The language that I probably would look to write a game in probably is JavaScript. If I was going to write something, I'd use something like Node WebKit, or Unity even with JavaScript in order to write a game, which is basically scripting an engine. That's pretty much what Unity is. That's probably where I'd go. I think, having said that though, at the moment I'm kind of sticking with C. I like being in control. Okay, so we've got to do definition of default argument. Oh yeah, that's just a bogus error in radio message that I should have fixed. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Too much chatting. Right, so yeah, to be honest, this could be moved into the top one, but yeah, that'll be right. Yeah, that failed, so let's rebuild it. Oh, sorry. Let me get my water. There we go. Oh dear. So, I've got about 15 minutes left. Happy to answer questions, that kind of thing. I'd be very happy to help wherever I can. Okay, same over again. Oops, I don't want to delete all of that. This long build time is really getting me down. It's so tempting just to kind of start again. It would be kind of a crazy thing to do, as in just start again with a clean slate and port bits of my engine across. But I know that that's a massive rat hole. I can actually search for where this might cause problems, so let's have a look. No, what I'm actually looking for is that a reasonable test? No. that. Yeah, there's only, oh no, that one's fine. Anything in the tests? Yeah, these two. These are not going to work. Just updating and getting rid of all of those extra bits. There we go. Okay. Okay, I think I might just skip the test for a minute because I know that those will be fine. And see if I can get the game running. See if I've still got those random crashes. What I may have to do is go through recent builds and see if I'm getting random crashes in other places too. Yeah, just rebuilding the data files. Let's see. Let's try again. Just trying to find a family. There we go. So what's happening there is I generate the history up to a certain point and then look for potential families that can basically have us as their child, and then you can choose from those families. Still random crashes. Let's see. Yeah, it's not that random though. It seems to be happening in the same places, so there's definitely weird stuff going on there. So that again is because the update. I think I'm going to have to try and get some of these in the debugger, and I'm going to have to try and figure out whether or not they're errors that I need to look into in more detail. What's wrong thing? The other option is that it's something to do with, let's just generate a slightly bigger population. The fact that I'm choosing only 5 people per city could really cause problems with traffic controllers. That's quite possible. Right. No, it's still the same problem. Right, so this is just causing a seg fault. Okay. Let's see. Location. It's not L. Location. Right, that's fine. And then down. Okay. And then down. Yeah, so the problem was with the location stuff is because it's templated, GDB can't easily handle it. So there's something in the location that is not good. It's basically a bogus entity that's being created, but it's difficult to see what's going on, which is very annoying. Right, the other option that I could choose, I think, is this essential workers thing that I did last time. I think it's that rather than the change I'm doing right now. I don't really want to stash and rebuild now, but that's basically what I'm going to have to do. If I choose a large set, then this may work better. Okay. Aha. Yeah, terrible frame rate, but I think that's just because of the stream running on this laptop. Okay, but that is working. That is encouraging. Yeah, and then trying to leave a planet when ship is in part 1. That's just because I'm in the middle of changing the AI to use cities, not planets, as I explained at the beginning of the stream. Okay, so that tells me that the reason the game is crashing is because I haven't got enough AI to fill particular jobs, which isn't surprising because that change has only just gone in. So fill essential vacancies. So obviously that, I think the bug is in this. I think it's not failing, but it's not succeeding, because actually with the previous run, did it have to run and fill any vacancies? No, the jobs were filled anyway. So I've got a feeling the fill essential vacancies simply isn't working correctly. Yeah, look, this filled stuff here. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's correctly working. There's a bug in that rather than what I'm doing. So I'm going to call this particular change done. This radio message stuff. There may still be a few issues with it, but just going through it quickly. Yeah, this is all fine. Happy with that, happy with that, happy with that, and that. Okay, and that. And that, yes, yes, yes. Yes, that's all fine. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, brilliant. Okay, so this is, oh, and I also need to add the data. So this is adding yeah, that's fine. However, the previous change, this change, I think is broken. In some way. When we didn't fill a vacancy, let's just go back to the top here. For this one here, we didn't have to fill a vacancy at all. Whereas as soon as we have to fill a vacancy, there's these random crashes. So I think the vacancy code is broken. So I'm going to have to make a note to sort that out for the next stream. I'm going to call it a day there. It's almost an hour and a half, but I need to get up and get my kids to school. So thanks very much for watching this live stream, and hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry we didn't get very far, but at least we got some code checked in and finished from before Christmas. So that's a good platform to try and investigate these weird random crashes that we have problems with at the moment. So yeah, really appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully see you on another stream another time. Thanks very much for watching.